So apparently Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same.
Went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons. He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like I guess like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
Picture this. Joe Rogan minding his own business, protein shake in hand, when The View decides to throw some shade one too many times. Now, Rogan's firing back with a $100 million defamation lawsuit so massive it could headline its own UFC card. Joy's stunned, Sonny's spiraling, and Whoopi's probably wishing she'd hit mute. Is this a legal smackdown or the strangest daytime drama plot twist ever? Either way, it's about to get beautifully chaotic. You won't believe how this firestorm started. Buckle up.
People like our show because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal note?
I don't know. Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles.
Imagine Joe Rogan mid-kettlebell swing or deep in an ayahuasca-fueled epiphany, suddenly freezing, raising one eyebrow and saying, "All right, that's enough." After years of being daytime TV's favorite punching bag, the go-to target for The View's self-proclaimed morality tribunal, Joe finally tapped out of the silence. No more shrugging it off. He's done being the spiritual sandbag for the queens of caffeinated chaos, aka the ever-outraged hosts of The View.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
The View, where every episode feels like bottomless brunch with opinionated ants who skimmed a headline and suddenly think they're Supreme Court justices. It's 5 hosts, 1 table, and enough passive-aggressive energy to power a small city. And in their boundless brilliance, they decided it was time to pin just about everything on Joe Rogan, short of blaming him for faking the moon landing.
Joe Rogan here. Did you see Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons, I guess? According to Joy Behar, he changed his X profile. Did you see this?
That. I did see that.
It now just simply says dragon believer. He had talked about dragons on the show. It's the thing of it is, you take anything out of context and you can make fun of it and mock it. And so, let's do that. It goes without saying, Joe Rogan, how many times more intelligent do you think Joe Rogan is than Joy Behar?
Here's the twist. Joe Rogan didn't even appear on their show. No guest spot, no wave from the curb, not even a courtesy shout-out via Spotify merch. And yet, the ladies of The View served him up as the entree on their drama platter. Picture Joy Behar rolling her eyes so aggressively, it qualifies as a neck workout, while Whoopi Goldberg mans the moral high ground like a ref who's never once checked the rulebook titled Irony.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. So when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
Bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good news.
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people.
who maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels and I'm served up things that I get outraged about. And then I realize, oh, that's not even true.
So, what did Rogan do? Exactly what you'd expect from a Fear Factor legend turned podcasting powerhouse. He slammed down a $100 million lawsuit like a folding chair in a WWE grudge match. The guy who once dared people to snack on cow intestines is now serving subpoenas like it's his next endurance trial. But don't get it twisted. This isn't about bruised egos. Rogan couldn't care less if someone on daytime TV rolls their eyes at his protein shakes or his takes on life. What does matter is defamation, the kind that screws with contracts, damages credibility, and messes with the algorithm on your $200 million Spotify empire. There's a difference between saying, "I don't like him," and accusing someone of being a public danger while sipping espresso like you just fixed the planet in a panel segment. Apparently, The View thought being on TV before lunchtime gave them some kind of legal invisibility cloak. But newsflash, being on ABC doesn't make you the Supreme Court with studio lighting. And now, they're finding out. Joe Rogan doesn't just roll with the punches, he files them with a lawyer.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
This lawsuit? No publicity stunt. Rogan's legal team didn't roll in with some pastel-colored cease and desist printed on recycled yoga paper. They came in hot, with receipts. We're talking timestamps, full transcripts, a meticulous play-by-play of every word The View tossed at him, stacked up next to those pesky things called facts, which daytime TV seems to have put on the endangered species list. So, what exactly did The View say that poked the legal bear? Well, accusing someone with a global platform of knowingly spreading misinformation isn't just spicy TV chatter, it's legally loaded. And unless you've got ironclad evidence, you're not just throwing shade, you're setting fire to a reputation. But The View? They brought loud, unscripted opinions held together with duct tape and daytime confidence, flimsy enough to collapse at the first push, like a Jenga tower mid-tantrum. This isn't Joe being thin-skinned. It's about protecting a brand. When his name gets tossed into the disinformation blender and pureed on national TV, it has ripple effects. Spotify might tolerate drama when it brings downloads, but this kind of drama risks cutting the cord. Rogan's team laid it out plain. Those weren't casual hot takes, they were reputation demolition charges. And The View's response? Classic. Joy looked like someone just told her Amazon Prime got canceled. Sunny tried to pivot into legalese mid-monologue, like she secretly passed the bar while the cameras panned to commercial.
I agree that Joe Rogan is a horror. I
mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation?
And then there's Whoopi stepping up like the oracle of daytime, tossing out gems like, well, it's just our opinion, as if that line doubles as legal armor. But here's the thing, once your opinion is beamed out to millions, it's not just brunch table banter, it's a broadcast. And if you're accusing someone of being a public threat, you better bring backup, or at least a warning label. But nah, The View went with the just say he's dangerous and ride the applause break strategy, like that drowns out legal consequences. Spoiler, it doesn't. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan took the high ground from his global throne, aka the world's most streamed podcast. That's like trying to slap a heavyweight champ while standing on a milk crate. And he responded loud. Joe didn't just clap back. He deconstructed, dismantled, and laughed through the nonsense, smirking like a guy who knows truth doesn't need a teleprompter. And the internet? Oh, they showed up. Reddit threads longer than congressional bills. YouTube comments turning into mock cross-examinations. Twitter turned into a digital coliseum. Team Rogan arming themselves with memes sharp enough to draw blood, while View loyalists scrambled to unsee their favorite panel's legal misfire. But make no mistake, this isn't just a grudge match, it's about accountability. Because for years, shows like The View have spun hot takes into headlines, all while hiding behind the fluff and throw pillows of daytime TV. No fact-checking, just feelings. And now those feelings have a court date.
Arguably, like, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
Right. Because their mom's taking their kids to school, and that's, yeah.
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded.
They poke, they prod, they perform until the heat gets turned up. Then suddenly it's all just harmless entertainment. No offense meant, no damage done. Except when you start name-dropping and tossing accusations like confetti, that defense crumbles faster than a reality star marriage. This $100 million lawsuit, it's not just retaliation. It's a flare in the night sky, a signal that the era of shooting from the hip on national TV without consequences might be coming to a close. You can't just toss around wild claims about public figures and expect silence in return, especially not when the person you're targeting reaches more ears in a week than your show does in a season. And let's not pretend The View is new to this. It's practically a masterclass in on-air missteps. Remember the time they argued about the shape of the Earth like it was a wine-fueled Facebook thread? Or when revisionist history was just another side dish at the table? The View has fumbled before, but now someone's finally holding them to account, and with a war chest to back it up.
Meanwhile, Joe Rogan, he's in his studio, sipping mushroom tea and breaking down their claims like it's a beginner's jiu-jitsu demo. No raised voice, no outrage, just calm precision and that signature smirk that says, you swung first and now you're outmatched. And the timing couldn't be more poetic. Just as The View was riding high on another wave of moral grandstanding, in comes a lawsuit like a legal uppercut. They thought they were scoring ideological points. Now they're in a full-blown legal fight with a guy who actually trains to win those.
The show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
and at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
And that's their audience.
Yes. Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows.
There's something almost poetic about the irony here. The same hosts who regularly preach accountability for others suddenly throwing their hands up like, hey, we were just chatting. It's as if they've never heard the term defamation, a word that lives rent-free in every attorney's briefcase, and now at the top of Joe Rogan's to-do list. And then, boom, the sound of nothing. Silence so awkward it could shatter glass. Did Joy Behar mute herself out of self-preservation? The usually loud and proud table suddenly had all the energy of a power outage. That was the collective vibe when word hit the wires. Joe Rogan had just launched a $100 million legal grenade straight at their Manhattan studio. No spicy rebuttal, no cheeky side-eye, just the kind of quiet that makes producers sweat. ABC, of course, did what every media giant does when caught off guard, lawyer up. Disney's legal squad, who usually deal with lightsabers and cartoon princes, were now huddled in damage control mode, asking the same question the internet was screaming. Wait, did we actually say something worth the GDP of a mid-sized nation? As expected, the official statement from the network was a masterclass in corporate hedging. Something like, we are currently reviewing the situation and assessing our legal pathways. Translation? Dear God, don't let this reach a courtroom.
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's
That's
The
the
View?
only reason why I read that about me.
Dragon lover.
Joy Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just
she
heard
said,
about
I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double check this? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like,
you think they lived
Sasquatch,
alongside of
bitch.
people?
Behind the scenes, though, the vibe was anything but composed. Think less professional news desk, more Real Housewives meet HR crisis mode. Tension crackled like a live mic in a thunderstorm. The internal mood? Somewhere between panic and a mandatory compliance training nobody passed. Speculation exploded faster than Whoopi can blurt out, allegedly. Would someone issue a retraction? Maybe an on-air backpedal disguised as clarity? Or perhaps the ultimate PR move, a somber sit-down interview complete with fake tears and herbal tea? So far, nothing's made it to air. But whispers inside the network suggest they're drafting a statement that says, in essence, we're not guilty, but please don't bankrupt us. Meanwhile, outside that glossy studio, the internet was having a gladiator moment. Rogan's fans, full-scale digital celebration. Reddit lit up like Times Square on New Year's Eve with threads titled Joe Rogan versus The View No Holds Barred and Incoming Lawsuit Suplex. It wasn't just support, it was vindication wrapped in memes and legal jargon. And here's the kicker. Both camps were now shouting free speech at the top of their lungs, only they were on completely opposite sides of the argument. Which brings us to the actual heart of this wild legal throwdown. Why it isn't just tabloid drama, it's a serious moment about speech, power, and who gets held accountable when opinions become accusations.
Why doesn't The View have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them... It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you'd go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of,
Because let's be real, this was never just about a podcast legend and a table full of morning hot takes. It's about the razor-thin, popcorn-greased line between freedom of speech and careless verbal grenades. In a world where TV hosts and YouTubers have more influence than half the people in Congress, what happens when they start throwing around serious accusations like confetti? When a national talk show with millions of viewers casually paints someone as dangerous without a shred of evidence, the real question becomes, where's the accountability? Slapping a laugh track on a libel claim doesn't magically turn it into a joke. And Joe Rogan, whether you see him as a truth-seeking warrior or a talking protein shake with a Wi-Fi signal, is calling that out with a megaphone and a mountain of legal ammo. This lawsuit isn't just about name clearing, it's a potential game changer. If Rogan wins or even rattles the system enough, the ripple effect could be massive. Influencers, commentators, TikTok ranters, suddenly they'll be triple-checking their totally factual roasts before they hit upload. This isn't just legal strategy, it's cultural disruption. Joe's not whining into a ring light or crafting teary apology videos. He's making a statement. Lie about me on national TV? I won't cancel you, I'll sue you, monetize it, and still get 10 million downloads. That's the Rogan effect. And suddenly, The View's panelists might think twice before starting another round of, you know what Joe said? Because yeah, free speech is still alive. But so are receipts, subpoenas, and attorneys who charge more per minute than a Taylor Swift ticket on resale. And the public? Oh, they're eating this up like it's the reunion episode of a drama-filled reality series. After years of untouchable status, The View might need to add panic buttons under the table just in case. Will this end up in court? Maybe not. Network execs know that putting this mess on trial only turns the spotlight up brighter. Quiet settlements with a side of Disney hush money? Much more their style. But either way, the PR damage is already baked in. Because The View took a swing at a guy who doesn't just speak, he broadcasts. And when you throw shade at someone with a louder voice and a legal team that hits harder than a black belt on a bad day, you'd better have more than sass behind the mic. This whole saga, a neon warning sign for every pundit with a platform. Talk all you want, but remember, in the age of viral receipts and digital backlash, even the queens of daytime TV can get dethroned. And Joe? He's probably shirtless, grinning, sipping something weird out of a mason jar, watching it all burn down with a smirk that says, "Told you so."